What is up, you guys? I am Tony Metro. Welcome to the video. Today, I'm going to be talking about the Chicago Cubs and what they should do in the 2021 offseason. Last week, it was reported that the Chicago Cubs are willing to trade almost any of their veteran players from their roster. News only got worse for the Cubs yesterday when Theo Epstein announced that he would be stepping down as president and GM of the team. And due to all of this recent news, it's led many around baseball to believe the Cubs are ready to start a rebuild that would begin with a fire sale this offseason. So today, I'm going to tell you what the Chicago Cubs should do in the 2021 offseason. With the recent departure of Theo Epstein and a number of contracts tied up to aging veterans, the Cubs are at a crossroads, one that may lead to a fire sale. As I mentioned, it was reported last week by ESPN's Buster Olney that the Chicago Cubs have signaled that some significant roster reshuffling may be on the way. This includes veterans like Javier Baez, Kris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Wilson Contreras, Darvish, Kyle Schwarber, and many more. But if you ask me, I think there's a better way for the Cubs to go about this 2021 offseason. I believe the Cubs can do something similar to what the 2016 Yankees did, which was to retool and add to an already talented roster. In my opinion, the Cubs still have a solid framework and could easily retool this team and get back to competing in 2021 and beyond. First, the Cubs should extend shortstop Javier Baez. Javier Baez is an absolute lightning rod of a player and one of the best shortstops in baseball. From 2017 to 2019, Javier Baez averaged a .289 average, 29 home runs, 91 RBIs, and an .845 OPS. And in the last two seasons alone, Javier Baez has been worth plus 33 defensive runs saved at shortstop. Javier Baez might garner the most in a trade of any of the Cubs veterans, but it's my opinion that this would not be a wise time for the Cubs to deal him. The biggest reason is that Francisco Lindor is also on the market for the Cleveland Indians right now, and the Indians have far less leverage than the Chicago Cubs do when it comes to Javier Baez. Similar to Francisco Lindor, Javier Baez is also entering his final season before free agency. However, it's my opinion that Francisco Lindor is a superior shortstop to Javier Baez, and he can probably be had at a lower cost. With Baez just entering his age 28 season, it makes sense to me for the Cubs to extend Javier Baez now and keep him a part of this core moving forward. Next, I believe the Chicago Cubs should trade Kris Bryant. Kris Bryant, the 2016 most valuable player, is also entering the final year of his contract. From 2015 when he was a rookie through 2017, Bryant hit 94 home runs. But in 2018, Bryant had a significant shoulder injury that limited him to just 102 games. Bryant had a bounce back season in 2019, hitting 31 home runs. But he still has yet to eclipse 100 RBIs other than in his 2016 season. This has led many people to speculate if Bryant's shoulder injury still is having lingering effects on his power. In addition, Kris Bryant is a Scott Boras client, an agent that is not in the business of giving out hometown discounts. To me personally, I think the best move for the Chicago Cubs would be to trade Kris Bryant and try to acquire some young prospects back. One potential trade suitor that comes to mind would be the Philadelphia Phillies. Kris Bryant and Bryce Harper grew up longtime friends, and the Phillies could send third base prospect Alec Boehm in return to the Chicago Cubs. Next, the Cubs should extend first baseman Anthony Rizzo. Anthony Rizzo is one of the premier first basemen in baseball. Rizzo can hit for power, contact, draw a walk, and is also one of the best defenders at first base with 4 Gold Gloves in his career. Similar to Javier Baez and Kris Bryant, Rizzo is eligible for free agency at the end of this season. From 2017 to 2019, Rizzo has averaged 28 home runs, 101 RBIs, and an .889 OPS. Without a doubt, Anthony Rizzo is one of the top 5 first basemen in all of baseball. And it's my opinion that the Cubs would be wise to extend Rizzo and keep him a part of this core moving forward. Next, the Cubs should trade starting pitcher Darvish. Darvish is coming off a career season in which he finished second in Cy Young voting in the National League. In 12 starts this year, Darvish had a 2.01 ERA, a 2.21 ERA plus, and struck out 11 batters per 9 innings. Now, Darvish signed a 6-year, $123 million deal with the Cubs in the 2018 offseason. That means over the next 3 seasons, Darvish will be earning $22 million, $19 million, and $18 million for the remainder of his contract. Entering his age 34 season, it makes sense to me that the Cubs should cash in on Darvish's 2020 season to a team desperate for pitching. 2 teams that immediately come to mind are the Los Angeles Angels and the Toronto Blue Jays. Both of those teams are looking to compete and are looking to add to their starting rotations. I believe that the Cubs could easily get one of those teams' top 10 prospects. Next, the Cubs should retain starting pitcher Kyle Hendricks. In 2020, Kyle Hendricks had his strongest season since his 2016 campaign. In 12 starts this year, Hendricks had a 2.88 ERA and a 1.55 ERA plus. Hendricks will be entering his age 31 season and is signed through 2023 on a very team-friendly deal. Hendricks can continue to be a veteran anchor in the rotation, while the likes of Braylon Marquez and other starting pitching prospects begin to make their debuts for the team. Next, the Cubs should trade Kyle Schwarber. Schwarber has incredible power, hitting 38 home runs and was good for an 871 OPS in 2019. Unfortunately, what Schwarber doesn't do so well outweighs what he does well. Schwarber struggles to get on base, striking out at a 29% rate, which is 5% above league average. On top of that, Schwarber is not a deft fielder and is a liability at any position that you throw him at. Essentially, Schwarber has been relegated to a DH only. And with the designated hitter potentially becoming league-wide, this only gives the Cubs more trade suitors to cash in on Kyle Schwarber. Next, the Cubs should retain Willson Contreras. Willson Contreras had his strongest season at the plate in 2019, with 24 home runs, 64 RBIs, and an 888 OPS. In addition, Contreras continues to be ranked as one of the better defensive catchers in baseball. Contreras will be entering his 2nd year of arbitration, but is signed through 2023. With the catcher position being so devoid of talent in this current MLB landscape, I don't see any reason why the Cubs should trade one of the top 5 catchers in the game. And lastly, the Cubs should look to trade both Jason Hayward and Craig Kimbrough. Now, these two are going to be difficult. Jason Hayward is due $21 million this season and $22 million in each of the next 2 seasons after that. And though Hayward is still a tremendous right fielder, 2020 was the first season that Hayward hit over an 800 OPS while with the Chicago Cubs. As for Craig Kimbrough, over the last year and a half with the Cubs, in 36 innings pitched, Kimbrough has a 6 ERA and a 1.53 whip. Kimbrough is signed through 2021 and is due $16 million this year. He also has an option for 2022, again worth $16 million. However, that comes with a $1 million buyout. In the end, trading Jason Hayward and Craig Kimbrough is going to be difficult due to their contracts. But if the Cubs can get anything for those 2 players, even if it means eating half of their contracts, I would immediately do it and try to jumpstart a rebuild. So in the end, my opinion is that the Cubs don't need to do a full rebuild, but simply a retool. And that begins by selecting the right players to trade and the right players to extend. Like I said earlier in the video, I think this could be very similar to what the 2016 Yankees did. That Yankees team, in fact, traded Aroldis Chapman to the Cubs for Gleyber Torres. I could see the Cubs trading a guy like Darvish or Kris Bryant and getting some top talent back to infuse back into this roster. In addition, some of the Cubs' top prospects are ready to make their debuts in the big leagues this year. It began last year with Adbert Alzolay and should only continue with Braylon Marquez and Miguel Amaya this season. With that young talent on the rise, a strong core, and more young talent coming via trade, I believe the Cubs could compete in 2021 as well as build toward the future. So what do you guys think? Are the Cubs going to have a full-blown fire sale? Do you like the players that I picked for the Cubs to keep and who I picked for them to trade away? And do you believe the Cubs can remain competitive in 2021 while building toward the future? Thank you guys for watching. I have been your host, Tony Metro.